Ladies, let's get real for a moment. We live in a world that's constantly telling us how to be, how to act, and how to relate to others, especially men. But I'm here to remind you of something. You are worth more than any label society tries to place on you. And your value does not decrease based on the presence or absence of any man. So today we're talking about the 9 things you should never do with a man, because your worth is not negotiable. Empowerment isn't just a buzzword, it's a movement. A call for every woman to step into her power, recognize her value, and unapologetically claim her space in this world. Too often society places limitations on women, trying to define who we are, what we can achieve, and how we should behave in the presence of others. But the truth is, you are not defined by anyone else's expectations of you. Empowerment begins from within. It starts with understanding that you are not just worthy, but deserving of the very best. Whether that's in relationships, career, or life in general. The world may try to place you in a box, but you were never meant to be confined. You were created to break boundaries, to shatter ceilings, and to stand tall in every room you walk into. When you fully embrace your worth, you become unstoppable. Too many women have been conditioned to play small, to soften their presence, to make others more comfortable, to remain in the background. But true empowerment demands that you take center stage in your own life. You don't have to diminish your light to make others shine. Instead, let your brilliance radiate and inspire others to do the same. You were made with purpose and power. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. In a world that often overlooks the contributions and potential of women, it's essential to constantly remind yourself of who you are and what you bring to the table. Empowerment is about self-recognition, recognizing your own strength, your resilience, your brilliance. It's about breaking free from the idea that you need validation from others to affirm your worth. You do not need to be approved by anyone to know that you are enough. Your value isn't dependent on someone's perception of you, your achievements, or your relationships. Your value is inherent. True empowerment also involves making decisions that honor your well-being, choosing relationships that uplift and support you, and walking away from anything that diminishes your sense of self. Empowerment means giving yourself permission to prioritize your own needs, dreams, and aspirations without guilt or fear. It's the ability to say no when necessary, to set boundaries without apology, and to walk away from situations or people who do not honor your worth. It's not about arrogance. It's about knowing who you are, standing firm in your beliefs, and asserting your rights. When you empower yourself, you don't just change your life, you change the lives of those around you. Your confidence, your resilience, and your courage inspire others to step into their own power, creating a ripple effect that has the potential to shift the very fabric of society. To empower yourself is to be unapologetically you. No matter what the world expects, no matter how loud the critics get, no matter how often you're told that you can't, every time you defy expectations, every time you rise after being knocked down, you reinforce the message: I am strong, I am capable, and I am worthy of everything I desire. Empowerment is a daily decision, an ongoing commitment to your own growth and self-love. It's about seeing yourself through the lens of possibility, not limitations. It's about embracing your uniqueness, acknowledging your power, and realizing that you are not just capable of achieving greatness, you were born for it. Cultural norms shape much of how we view ourselves and the world around us. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe certain truths about what it means to be a woman, how we should act in relationships, and what we should expect from others. But here's the truth. Cultural norms don't define your worth, and they certainly don't dictate your potential. When we talk about challenging cultural norms, we're talking about breaking free from the invisible chains that tell us how we should behave, look, or feel. Society often dictates that women should be passive, should always put others first, and should prioritize relationships over personal growth or individuality. This message is pervasive, but it's also outdated and harmful. Women are often taught to find their value through the approval of others, especially men, rather than in their own identity and achievements. We're told to conform, to quiet our voices, to make ourselves smaller so that others feel more comfortable. But that is not the role we were meant to play. Challenging cultural norms starts with a realization: you do not need to be anyone's version of perfect. You are not here to fill a stereotype or follow a prescribed set of behaviors. Instead, you are here to live authentically, to break free from these narrow standards and embrace who you truly are. The idea that there's only one way to be a woman, or that you must fit into a particular mold, is not only limiting, but also misleading. Your individuality is your greatest strength, and it's time to challenge the false narrative that says otherwise. Take a moment to reflect on the ways society tells you to behave or act in relationships. It's often suggested that women should always be nurturing, always defer to the man's desires, or always be the peacekeeper in difficult situations. But this is a form of conditioning that can leave women feeling powerless, as if they exist only to serve the needs and wants of others. The idea that a woman's value is based solely on how well she supports and cares for others diminishes her own sense of self-worth and potential. To challenge this, we need to remind ourselves that relationships are partnerships, not hierarchical structures. Women do not exist to simply complete a man. They are whole, powerful individuals who deserve mutual respect, equality, and the freedom to grow, flourish, and be unapologetically themselves. Furthermore, many cultural norms still impose unrealistic standards on women's appearance. From magazines to social media, women are bombarded with images of what they should look like, often promoting an unattainable image of beauty. These norms tell women that they are only valuable if they conform to these unrealistic standards, resulting in body shaming, self-doubt, and insecurity. Challenging these norms means rejecting the notion that your worth is tied to your looks, and instead embracing the truth that your beauty is reflected in your individuality, your strength, and the way you carry yourself with confidence. One of the most prevalent cultural norms is the pressure to prioritize family or relationships above all else, even at the expense of your career, ambitions, or mental well-being. Women are often expected to do it all, to be the perfect mother, partner, and worker. But this unrealistic expectation creates a toxic cycle of burnout and unfulfilled potential. Challenging this norm requires us to prioritize our own needs, to build healthy boundaries, and to understand that personal success is not selfish. It is okay to pursue your career, your dreams, your passions, and still be a loving partner or parent. You are not defined by one role or expectation. You are multifaceted and dynamic. Breaking free from these cultural norms means giving yourself permission to embrace the fullness of who you are, not who the world tells you to be. It means realizing that your worth is not based on conformity, but on your unique qualities, your ability to think for yourself, and your refusal to accept limitations imposed by society. In doing so, we create a new narrative. A narrative where women are seen as powerful, capable, and worthy of all the opportunities life has to offer, regardless of how society tries to limit them. To challenge cultural norms is to rise above the confines of a dated system and choose instead to live in a way that is authentic to you, unapologetic in your pursuits, and unyielding in your belief that you can have it all on your own terms. Drawing boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-care. It is not a sign of weakness, nor is it a sign of being difficult or unapproachable. On the contrary, it is an essential practice for maintaining emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and where others begin. And they are critical in every area of life. Relationships, work, and even within your own personal space. The act of drawing boundaries is often misunderstood. Some may view it as selfish or overly rigid, but in reality, boundaries are a necessary form of self-preservation. They allow you to protect your energy, your time, and your heart. Without boundaries, we become overly accommodating, giving pieces of ourselves away until there's nothing left. But when you understand the value of setting limits, you begin to realize that maintaining your own sense of self is the foundation for every healthy relationship you have. In relationships, boundaries help define what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. Whether it's with a romantic partner, a family member, or a friend, it's essential to establish and communicate what you will and will not tolerate. This is not about controlling others, but about teaching them how to treat you. When you don't draw clear boundaries, you open yourself up to being disrespected, taken for granted, or even mistreated. And while it may feel uncomfortable at first to set these limits, especially if you've been conditioned to put others before yourself, learning to say no when necessary is one of the most empowering things you can do. Boundaries also extend to emotional and mental health. Women in particular are often taught to be the caregivers and peacekeepers, putting everyone else's needs before their own. But what happens when we give without ever taking a step back for ourselves? We become drained, resentful, and overwhelmed. Emotional boundaries are about knowing when to step away, when to protect your heart, and when to prioritize your own peace over the needs of others. This doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person who values her own well-being. It's important to recognize when someone's emotional demands are taking too much of a toll on you, and to give yourself permission to step back. Another critical area where boundaries are crucial is in the workplace. Women often feel pressured to be overly accommodating, to say yes to every task, and to constantly prove their worth. But this leads to burnout and frustration. Setting professional boundaries is not only necessary for maintaining a healthy work-life balance, but it also reinforces your sense of value and respect. You have the right to say no to additional work when you are already stretched thin, to set hours for when you are available, and to prioritize your personal time without guilt. Physical boundaries are equally important. Your body is your temple, and you have the right to decide what is acceptable and what is not, regardless of anyone else's expectations. Whether it's about personal space, touch, or how you allow others to speak to you, understanding your own physical boundaries is an essential part of maintaining your autonomy and self-respect. It is never okay for anyone to make you feel uncomfortable or to cross a physical boundary without your consent. In a world that often pushes for women to be passive or yielding, it is a revolutionary act to stand firm in the defense of your body and your space. Setting boundaries doesn't mean that you are closing yourself off from love, friendship, or connection. In fact, it's the opposite. When you draw healthy boundaries, you create the space for authentic, meaningful relationships to grow. Boundaries ensure that your relationships are balanced, based on mutual respect, and rooted in honesty. They also allow you to communicate your needs openly, which leads to healthier, more fulfilling connections with others. The most important thing to remember when drawing boundaries is that they must come from a place of self-awareness and self-worth. You cannot draw boundaries that are true to you if you don't first understand what you need and what you deserve. This requires self-reflection and an honest look at your own values, needs, and limitations. It may require stepping out of your comfort zone, especially if you've been conditioned to always put others first. But the strength it takes to create healthy boundaries will ultimately make you a stronger, more empowered person. Boundaries are a sign of strength, not weakness. They are not barriers to love or connection. Rather, they are the framework that supports them. When you protect yourself emotionally, mentally, and physically, you are showing that you value yourself and that you expect others to do the same. And when you set and enforce your boundaries, you are teaching others how to treat you. Remember, you are worthy of respect, of space, of time, and of peace. Honesty is not just about telling the truth. It's about being real with yourself and with others. It's about showing up authentically, without pretending, without wearing a mask, and without compromising who you are. Real talk is about stripping away the sugar coating and getting to the heart of the matter, no matter how uncomfortable it may feel. To always keep the peace, to hide their true feelings to avoid conflict, and to put others' comfort above their own. But honesty isn't just about avoiding confrontation. It's about living in alignment with who you truly are, regardless of the expectations or judgments of others. Being honest with yourself is the first step in the process. It's about acknowledging your own needs, your desires, and your boundaries. Often we are so conditioned to take care of others, to be there for everyone else, that we neglect to check in with ourselves. We become disconnected from our own emotions, our own desires, and our own truth. But honesty means reflecting on your own life and recognizing when things don't feel right, when something is out of balance, or when you are compromising your own peace. You cannot be true to others if you are not true to yourself. Real talk also means being direct, even when the truth is difficult to hear or share. Society often teaches women to soften their words, to be gentle, or to worry about how their honesty might make others feel. But there's strength in speaking your truth, even when it's hard. True love, true respect, and true growth come from being able to face the hard truth, not just the comfortable ones. Whether it's addressing a problem in a relationship, standing up for yourself in the workplace, or having a difficult conversation with a friend or family member, being honest is a way of honoring your own voice and ensuring that your needs are met. In relationships, honesty is the foundation of trust. Without it, there can be no real connection. When you hold back your true feelings, your desires, or your concerns in order to keep the peace or avoid conflict, you are not allowing the relationship to thrive. Honesty creates space for vulnerability, and vulnerability is where true intimacy lives. It's where growth happens, where understanding deepens, and where real connection is formed. You cannot be fully seen or loved until you are fully known, and being honest is the only way to allow that to happen. Whether it's sharing your hopes, your fears, your insecurities, or your dreams, honesty brings people closer together, even when it's hard to expose parts of yourself that are raw or imperfect. In the professional world, real talk is equally important. Women are often socialized to be accommodating, agreeable, and non-confrontational, but this can prevent us from asserting our value, standing up for what we deserve, or asking for what we need. Honesty at work is about owning your expertise, speaking up in meetings, And it's about expressing your needs, whether it's for better work-life balance, more support, or simply recognition for the work you're doing. If you're constantly worried about being liked or avoiding difficult conversations, you may sacrifice your growth or even your peace in the process. But being honest about your capabilities, your boundaries, and your goals ensures that you are respected and treated fairly, and it sets a standard for how others should treat you. Real talk also means acknowledging and addressing the things that others might not want to say, but desperately need to hear. Women are often tasked with maintaining the emotional balance in their relationships, sometimes at the cost of their own well-being. But part of being honest is addressing uncomfortable issues head-on, even when it means challenging someone or confronting a difficult truth. Real talk is not about pointing fingers or criticizing. It's about making sure that your voice is heard, your needs are met, and the truth is out in the open. It's easy to hide behind polite conversation or avoid hard truths, but that only delays the growth that comes from confronting the truth. When you withhold honesty, you rob yourself and others of the chance to evolve and heal. Real talk requires a level of courage because it means stepping into the vulnerability of speaking truthfully, regardless of the potential fallout. But it's in those moments that you discover the strength to advocate for yourself, to challenge the status quo, and to demand the respect you deserve. The more you practice honesty, whether it's with yourself or others, the stronger your voice becomes and the clearer your path becomes. Honesty is a gift. It's the key to understanding yourself better, to navigating your relationships more authentically, and to stepping into your power. When you're not afraid to be honest, both with yourself and with others, you free yourself from the burden of pretending, and you allow yourself to live with integrity and purpose. Self-love is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the bedrock upon which every aspect of your life should be built. Self-love is not about arrogance or selfishness, it's about having a deep respect for yourself, acknowledging your worth, and cultivating a sense of care and compassion that radiates outward. Without self-love, you cannot truly connect with others, pursue your dreams, or live authentically. It is the foundation that allows you to thrive, to face challenges, and to maintain peace, even in the face of adversity. In a world that constantly tells women to look outward for validation, self-love becomes an act of rebellion. Women are often conditioned to find their worth in the approval of others, whether it's their appearance, their role in relationships, or their success in the workplace. But self-love flips that narrative. It teaches you that your worth is intrinsic. It doesn't come from external sources. You are valuable simply because you exist. When you cultivate self-love, you stop seeking validation from outside sources and begin to recognize your own inherent worth. Self-love starts with the way you treat yourself. How you speak to yourself matters. Often, women are their own harshest critics. We can easily identify our flaws and shortcomings, but how often do we acknowledge our strengths and successes? Self-love requires that you speak to yourself with kindness, patience, and compassion. When you make a mistake, you don't have to punish yourself or dwell on it. Instead, you acknowledge the lesson and move forward. You treat yourself the way you would treat a friend, offering encouragement and support instead of criticism. Part of self-love also involves setting boundaries. Boundaries are an expression of self-respect. When you set healthy boundaries, you are telling yourself that your time, energy, and peace of mind are valuable. Boundaries allow you to protect your well-being and create space for what truly matters. They are not about building walls, but about creating a foundation where you can exist as your authentic self, free from the pressures of others' expectations. Whether it's saying no to extra work when you're already overwhelmed, or distancing yourself from relationships that drain you, boundaries are a direct reflection of how much you value your own needs. Self-love also means taking care of your body. Women are often conditioned to neglect their own health, prioritizing the needs of others over their own. But taking care of your body is a fundamental act of self-love. Whether it's through regular exercise, nourishing your body with healthy foods, or simply getting enough rest. Caring for your body signals that you honor and value yourself. Your body is the vessel through which you experience the world, and maintaining its health allows you to show up fully in every area of your life. Additionally, self-love requires self-acceptance. You must learn to love yourself as you are, not as you think you should be. This means embracing your imperfections, your quirks, and your unique qualities. Self-love is not about striving for perfection or comparing yourself to others. It's about acknowledging that you are enough just as you are. When you accept yourself, flaws and all, you free yourself from the constant need to measure up to impossible standards. You become more resilient in the face of criticism and more confident in your own skin. Another crucial aspect of self-love is forgiving yourself. We all make mistakes. We all fall short of our own expectations at times. But self-love means not holding on to guilt, shame, or regret. It means acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and then letting them go. When you hold on to past failures or criticisms, you prevent yourself from moving forward. Forgiveness is a vital part of healing, and when you forgive yourself, you open the door for growth, transformation, and a deeper sense of peace. Ultimately, self-love is about honoring your journey. It's about understanding that your path is uniquely yours and that you are deserving of every opportunity for growth and fulfillment. When you have a strong foundation of self-love, you're able to step into the world with confidence, resilience, and a deep sense of purpose. You don't need anyone else's approval or validation because you already recognize your own value. And from that place of deep self-respect, you can build the life you've always dreamed of, free from the limitations imposed by others or by self-doubt. The role of women in relationships is often undervalued or misunderstood, particularly in a world that has historically placed women in subservient roles. However, affirming the role of women in relationships is not just about recognizing their contributions. It's about fully understanding the powerful, equal, and indispensable part they play in shaping and nurturing partnerships. Women are not just caretakers or emotional supporters. They are dynamic, multifaceted individuals whose voices, needs, and dreams are as valid and essential as those of their partners. At the core of affirming the role of women in relationships is the understanding that women are equal partners. No relationship should be based on the premise that one individual is more important or valuable than the other. Every partner brings unique qualities, strengths, and perspectives to the table, and both deserve to be heard, respected, and valued. It is essential that women are recognized not only for the love and care they offer, but for their thoughts, ideas, and contributions that elevate the relationship. Women have the right to assert themselves, to be treated with equality, and to pursue their goals and ambitions alongside their partner.